My wife lay on the hospital bed, faking death. I lunged over and slapped her hard. Twice. Then I called the organ donation team, planning a loving little heart and lung harvest. Last time, I was too busy grieving. After drinking the water her best friend handed me, I slept dead for 3 days and 2 nights. When I woke, my wife was already ash. Before I could even mourn, debt collectors showed up at my door. Only then did I learn. My wife had left behind tens of millions in debt. They not only took both my kidneys, they forced me to work 24 hours a day to repay it. In just 10 years, I aged to look over 80. And right then, my wife, dead for 10 years, drove past me in a luxury car, her arm around her lover. She smiled and tossed me $100, thanking me for my hard work. I couldn't catch my breath and collapsed, never to wake again. I woke on the day my wife's heart gave out, looking at her under the white sheet. I sneered and sighed. Since you want to die, I'll grant your wish. Her best friend One Minion kept pushing me to drink the water. I snapped back and looked at her. Last time, I drank this same water and passed out. I'm almost 100% sure this water was drugged. The whole point was to make me miss Liu Ruyan's cremation. They set down the cup, ignored One Minion's protests, and walked to Liu Ruyan's bedside. I pulled back the sheet. Liu Ruyan's face was rosy, her breathing slow and calm. Last life I was too heartbroken, too dumb and foolish to notice. I raised my hand and slapped Liu Ruyan hard across the face. Liu Ruyan didn't flinch, clearly afraid I'd find out. One minion let out a sharp shriek, thinking I'd caught Liu Ruyan faking it. Brother-in-law, angry or not, you can't be this brutal. I went at Liu Ruyan head to toe, hitting with everything I had. Seeing Wine Minion about to explode, I put on a heartbroken act and wailed. I told you not to stay up late. I told you to get a checkup. Why wouldn't you listen to me? You left me all alone. What do I do now? One minion swallowed hard and froze. I couldn't be bothered to argue, so I pulled out my phone and made a call. Yes? I'd like to donate organs. She just passed. Please come quickly. One minion wanted to stop me, but given her position, she just fired off a quick text instead. The donation staff arrived in minutes. I put on a grief-stricken face. My wife was always a kind person. She died so suddenly. I want her life to live on, to help save more people. Sir, that's generous. On behalf of those families, thank you. Which organs would you like to donate? I sighed and said. My wife died of a sudden heart attack. I don't know which organs can still be donated. Just open her up, take whatever's usable. And if nothing's usable, then donate her body to a school as a cover. No, you can't, brother-in-law. Sister Ruyan never wanted to donate her organs. She told me so before. We have to respect Sister Ruyan's last wishes. Minion, I am Ruyan's husband. I get to make this decision. You and Ruyan share no blood, just close girlfriends. As for who decides, I think you already know. And every minute you block me is another minute the organs degrade. You're a doctor yourself. Don't you want to save lives? The donation staff jumped in too. He's right, Dr. Wang. Please step aside quickly. There was no way she'd move. She was frantic, hopping around. I already called NT. At least let NT see Sister Ruyan one last time. Liu Ruyan's mother, Du Shaman, came rushing in, curlers still in her permed hair. Clearly straight from the salon. Seeing Liu Ruyan still intact on the bed, she relaxed, then slapped me. What's the point of this? What rotten luck did Ruyan have, marrying you? You jinxed my daughter to death and now you want to cut her open. Touch one hair on her today, and I'll kill your whole family. No donation, no donation, go ruin somebody else. The donation staff felt it was a shame, but had no choice and left. Only then did Wine Minion relax. She picked up the sheet and covered Liu Ruyan. Du Shaman sat on the couch nearby, pointing at me, cursing, a filthy, money-grubbing man. His own wife dies and he's not even sad, doesn't think to cremate her and lay her to rest, but wants to make her a cadaver. You want my daughter sliced 1,000 times. Want to be a saint? Go donate yourself. You can go die right now. I'll sign you over and donate all of you. I covered my face and sighed heavily. Mom, I'm sorry, I was wrong. I just wanted. Don't even think it. Get out of here right now. I'll take my daughter to the crematorium myself. I instantly played hurt, meek as can be, and handed Du Xiaoman in the very water Wang Mingyun had given me. Du Xiaoman suspected mouthing, and what with the tension and non-stop cursing, her mouth had gone dry. She gulped the whole cup down. Wang Mingyun couldn't stop her in time. Not 2 minutes later, Du Xiaoman pulled. The cold sweat Wang Mingyun had just wiped it broke out again. She stammered, "Brother-in-law, you're not going to donate organs again, are you?" I shook my head and laid Du Xiaoman flat on the couch. How could I? Mom already said no. So of course I won't go through with it. Wang Mingyun breathed easier. Anti-fainting like that can't be good. You'd better get her to the ER right away. I'll handle Sister Ruyan's cremation myself. I looked at her with a faint smile. Isn't that backwards? You're the doctor. You should tend to the patient. And I'm Ruyan's husband, so I should arrange the cremation. Don't you agree? Then I called the crematorium directly. Told them to come at once. Wang Mingyun was frantic, like an ant on a hot pan, trying again and again to wake Du Xiaoman. But no matter how she shook her, they're like a dead pig. By the time the staff wheeled Liu Ruyan away, Wang Mingyun finally grabbed my sleeve. Her voice hoarse. Brother-in-law, I think I just saw Ruyan move. I really think we can still save her. Hold on. Ash shoved the death certificate in her face. Mingyun, think before you speak. If Sister Ruyan really is alive right now, what liability does your hospital bear, and what liability do you bear? This is called murder. A contracted killing. Whether the hospital survives, I don't know, but you'll definitely be going to prison. So think hard. Did you really see Ruyan move? Wang Mingyun was at her wit's end, with no idea how to argue back. I gave a cold laugh, shook off her hand, and followed the crematorium van. Wang Mingyun cried out, and hurriedly grabbed her phone to call someone, looking at Liu Ruyan on the stretcher. I couldn't help laughing. Then I saw Liu Ruyan's finger twitch. Looked like she knew she'd be cremated. And with the anesthesia fading, she was starting to wake. Sir, please hurry. My mother-in-law wants to grab my wife's body, insisting on donating her organs. But I just want my wife to come whole and leave whole. The driver grunted and stomped hard on the gas. Last time, when I ran into Liu Ruyan on the street, though 10 years had passed, her face looked much like it did now, barely touched by time. I rushed to confront her, to see if it really was Liu Ruyan, to pour out years of longing. Liu Ruyan squinted, took forever to barely recognize me, then smiled. Oh, it's you. How is it that after just 10 years, you look older than my grandfather? Back then my voice was hoarse, my back bent, nothing like a 50-year-old. I stammered, you tricked me. Weren't you dead? To get rid of you. I faked my death on purpose. Actually, Liu Ruyan didn't finish. But what was left for me not to understand? If she just asked for a divorce, there's no way I'd refuse. But with a straight divorce, she'd split half her assets with me, and be branded a cheating, trashy woman. Taking death was different. Not only could she dump every debt on me, she could move all the assets, take a new identity, fearless, and be openly with Jibata. I was too furious to speak, but Liu Ruyan seemed keen to keep talking. She smiled. Actually, back at the hospital, I could hear you the whole time. The sound of you crying, I still haven't forgotten it. I'm really curious. How does a grown man cry like a honking goose? Bahaha. It was so funny. Bahaha. As she mocked me, I clutched my chest and collapsed. Jibata cried out. Funny. He's not pulling a scam, is he? Let's hurry and go. Liu Ruyan, annoyed at the bad luck, just drove off, not caring if I lived or died. My last memory was the car driving away, and then darkness. Ow, looking at Liu Ruyan's young, pretty face, I lowered my head onto her chest, listening to her steady heartbeat, and said everything I never got to. Last life. I know you're not dead. You cheated long ago, and staged this whole show, just to run off into the sunset with Jibata, leaving me to pay the debt. But I don't hate you. I've decided to respect your wish. Since you want to die, I'll send you off fast, to the flames. I know you can hear me right now, but I'm not sure if you can feel pain. I hope you can. That way you can experience cremation firsthand. After all, being cremated alive, you might be the first. Liu Ruyan's fingers trembled faintly. She couldn't move, but tears streamed out. The reached out and wiped them. Don't rush. Once we're in the furnace, that's when you'll really fall apart. My phone kept ringing nonstop. Wang Menyun and Du Xiaonan were calling, but right now, I'm just a pitiful man who's lost his wife, not being in the mood to answer is normal, right, with the driver flooring it the whole way. A trip that should have taken half an hour only took 20 minutes. But the crematorium was busy today. Liu Ruian's turn was at least an hour off. Frowning, I found the man in charge. Then my face crumpled, crying on command. My wife died of a sudden heart attack. And when my mother-in-law heard, she fainted too. She's in the air right now. I have to get back as fast as I can. Please let my wife go first. Be cremated first. I don't want my mother-in-law to have something happen to. The man had never met anyone who wanted to cut a cremation line. I know you're anxious, but others have waited a long while too. It's hard for me to let you cut ahead. Even as he said it, he stretched out his hand with a hint. I understood he wanted money. I pulled out my phone and sent him 2,000 yuan. Please, sir, help me out. I'm an orphan. My wife and mother-in-law were so good to me. I really can't lose my mother-in-law too. The man was moved by my sincerity. So Liu Ruian cut the line. In under 10 minutes she was pushed into the furnace. Just as the worker reached for the ignition, I stopped him. I couldn't let him become a murderer. And I wanted my revenge myself. At my insistence, the worker agreed, and I pressed the button. But at that very moment, from the doorway came Du Xiaoman and Wang Menyun's overlapping voices. Stop. Don't trick me. You stop right now. Push my daughter back out. Brother-in-law, wait. Auntie still has things to say to Sister Ruian. Get out of my way. I won't let you cremate my daughter. I'll do it myself. Even at this critical moment, the two still wanted to go through with the fake death plan. I knelt on the floor, full of grief. Ruian is already gone. Let's just let her rest in peace. I'm Ruian's husband, and I'm not leaving. Our three-way fight through a crowd of onlookers. The workers exchanged uneasy looks. What melodrama are you putting on? A crematorium isn't your playground. With that he reached for the ignition. Wang Menyun and Du Xiaoman threw themselves at it, trying to stop him, lunging like starving tigers. The worker was startled and dodged to the side. The momentum the two couldn't pull back slammed onto the button. With a sharp twist, roaring flames swallowed Liu Ruian in an instant. Two screams rang out. Everyone stared at Wang Menyun and Du Xiaoman, but they stared hard at Liu Ruian inside the furnace. Her anesthesia must have fully worn off. I faintly saw her open her mouth, reach out a hand, but the commotion outside was too loud. No one noticed her at all. After a minute or so, when everyone looked back at the furnace, the staff started whispering curiously. First time I've seen a body sit up this high. Just like a living person. Good thing it's daytime. If it were midnight, I'd swear the corpse came back to life. I wiped tears that didn't exist, pressed down the corners of my curling mouth and put on a pitiful face. My wife loved her mother most. She must have heard her mother's voice and wanted to sit up for one last look at her. Then I wiped my eyes toward the furnace and said, Bonnie, rest in peace. Don't worry. I'll take good care of Mom. I'll work hard to reunite her with you soon. Ignoring Wang Menyun, Du Xiaoman slumped on the floor, stumbled over sobbing. When she saw the scene in the furnace, she was scared half to death. She frantically clawed at the button. Help! Help! Fire! The staff had never seen a family member this worked up. They hurried to pull Wang Menyun back. Sir, we know you're grieving, but the dead can't come back. Carrying on like this, she won't rest easy. Wang Menyun's face went frighteningly pale, and she dropped straight onto the floor. Now it's all over. Du Xiaoman crawled on all fours to my feet, clutching my pant leg, cursing, You bastard. Don't kill my daughter. Give me my daughter's life back. I sighed. Hold out the death certificate. Mom, I know you're heartbroken, but Ruian's death has nothing to do with me. She died of a sudden heart attack. Don't believe me? Ask Menyun. She personally tried to resuscitate Ruyan, and she personally issued me this death certificate, as I said it. I glanced sideways at Wang Menyun, barely holding back a smile. Isn't that right? Menyun, she had no idea what to say. Say she wasn't dead. Then where did the death certificate come from? Say she was dead. Du Shaman wouldn't believe it. But once I said that, Du Shaman Kanan, Su, it's you. You killed my daughter, and you're still hiding behind that death certificate of yours. Now my daughter's been cremated. And it's all your fault. That line was spot on. Everyone present was stunned. The worker's face went pale too. Oh my god. This is murder. Hearing this, Du Shaman's eyes rolled back and she fainted on the spot. I reacted fast and slapped Wang Menyun across the face. Engyun, are you out of your mind? How could you take a joke like that seriously? My wife is dead. She's dead. Why are you talking nonsense? My slap left Wang Menyun stunned. The workers around heard it and figured she was joking. So they went back to their work. Watching Li Ruyan's cremation fully finish, I put on a furious face, took her ashes, and left the crematorium. Before leaving, I left Wang Menyun one last line. You're being absurd. I'm so shaken I could faint. He handled getting her to the hospital. It's not that I didn't want to stay and watch. I just had other, more important things to do. Back home, I casually set Ruyan's ashes in an out-of-the-way corner of the living room, then quickly called a lawyer to start inheriting Li Ruyan's company and estate. Last time I was too grief-stricken. By the time I came to, the company was gone. If I didn't move fast on this, once Du Shaman woke up, she'd grab it first. Loi Chen. Ruyan died suddenly. But before her death she mentioned some family trusts and overseas accounts. I want you to use every connection. And within 48 hours pinned down the real cash flow under her name. On the other end, Chen Jianshan hesitated. Mr. Lin, based on the public records, Liu only has a few properties, and that nearly bankrupt consulting firm. And there's also tens of millions in debt. Is that so, Lawyer Chen? Liu Ruyan was a woman shrewd to the bone. She'd fake death rather than divorce. That means the assets she wanted to protect far outweigh that 10 million debt. Dig for me, I'll triple your fee. Big reward, brave man. The next afternoon, I got an encrypted email from Lawyer Chen. Just as I expected, Li Rudan used her so-called medical consulting firm to launder money and move assets long-term. Through Wang Menyun's doctor background, she bought up illegal prescription formulas registered under several offshore shells. More ironic still, I found the secret safe. It was in that rundown garage. When I pushed open the grimy rolling door, a musty smell hit my face. In this corner I'd never set foot in. I pried open a hidden compartment. Inside, no jewelry, just a neat stack of cash, and a few crypto wallets. 10 million in debt. I did. Liu Ruyan. You plan to leave me drowning in debt, in hell, while you took these tens of millions in Bitcoin. Abroad to live happily ever after with Jibata. I counted. The cash alone was over 2 million. I didn't rush to bank it. Instead I contacted the lenders Liu Ruyan owed the most to deal with loan shark desperados. The best move isn't to hide. It's to buy them off. Invited their bosses to in private club. Gentlemen, Ruyan has been cremated. Here's the death certificate. You've surely heard, Mr. Lin. The person's dead, but the debt isn't. You're the first heir. You have to pay. I never said I wouldn't. Here's 2 million. As good faith, I'll cover part of the interest first. The rest of the debt, after I take over Liu Ruyan's company, I'll repay through legal equity pledges. But there's one condition. Liu Ruyan's mother, Chu Shaman, and that man named Jibata. They might still be sitting on some of Ruyan's private money. They're spreading rumors everywhere, saying I committed murder, trying to weasel out of this inheritance. If they succeed, you probably won't get a single cent. So what you mean, Mr. Lin, is don't let them touch your hidden stash. And on top of that, let them taste being chased for debt too. Since they wanted evidence, I'd let them drown in my quagmire first. Liu Ruyan's company was called Ruyan Trading, a graceful name, but really a filthy shell company. On my first day taking over, I brought 12 burly security guards. The finance manager, Wan Qin, who's also Wang Menyun's cousin, was clutching her files, face deathly pale. Mr. Lin, This isn't proper procedure. Director Liu just passed, and you're already so brazenly firing us veteran employees. Procedure: embezzling 380,000, faking reimbursement invoices. You want to talk procedure with me, or talk life with the economic crimes squad? You've got half an hour. Everything on your computer about Liu Rudian and G Bada's dealings. The emails, the transactions, burn it all to a copy. Do it, and the 380,000 becomes your severance. Fail, and you go to prison. In under 20 minutes, I had everything I wanted. That included Liu Rudian's proof of illegally moving assets to G Bada and the electronic contract for the property they bought abroad. These things were originally Liu Rudian's ships to restart her life after faking death. Now they all became my proof to charge them with fraud and asset transfer. The sky was overcast, watching the balance climb in my account. I felt not a ripple inside. Liu Ruian's fixed assets, the crypto and cold wallets, plus the consolidated company equity totaled over 50 million. And that 10 million debt, under my maneuvering, became Liu Ruian's personal fraud debt. Since the party was deceased and assets were liquidated against it, the remaining bad debt all got dumped on the guarantor, to Shaman. That was my final big gift to her. Bonnie. Thank you. Now I have money, a house, a company. I'll live free and easy from now on. Even freer than you did last lie. I got blackout drunk and fell asleep right on the couch until the next day. A knock jolted me away. I rubbed my itching, hung overhead and opened the door. Outside stood Wan Minyan and Du Xiaoman, and a man a few years older than me. By the look of it, he had to be the G Bada I'd seen last life. His face was full of grief and rage, and he held the hand of a boy about 6 or 7. The boy looked a lot like Liu Ruian. Could he be Liu Ruian's illegitimate son? No wonder Ruian refused to have kids after marriage. Turns out she'd had a child with her old flame long ago. All three looked grief-stricken, with heavy dark circles. A few police officers stood behind them. Officers. It's this man. He cremated my daughter alive. Arrest him now. And cremate him too. Let him taste what it's like. I had long guessed this scene was coming. I just didn't expect it so soon. I sighed helplessly, and said, "Mom, can you please stop making jokes like this?" I took out the death certificate. Officers. This is my wife's death certificate. My mother can't accept my wife's passing. She may have some mental issues now. This looks in order. I sighed and went on. My wife and I were married 3 years, and we were always very, very close. When I knew my wife had passed, I didn't want her body to rot. So I had her cremated right away. Was that really so wrong? Du Xiaoman clutched her chest tightly. Bullshit. My daughter long despised you, a boring, worthless dog of a man. If Bada could have gotten divorced back then, Ruian would never have married you out of spite. You did it on purpose. You cut the line to cremate her on purpose, just to get my daughter's estate and company. I called the company people yesterday, and confirmed it. What else can you deny? I put on a look of disbelief. My eyes red enough to bleed. Mom, you can curse me, but my love for Ruian was real. If I didn't love Ruian, why would she make me the sole heir of her estate? You say Ruian's still alive. Why don't you think about it? A hospital that big can't even tell if a person's dead or alive. Really? Minyan told me herself that Ruian was brain dead. Her heart had stopped beating. What living person is like that? Dujana signaled Wan Minyan to speak, but Wan Minyan just lowered her head. Made sense. If she now admitted the death certificate was fake, her crime would be huge. Better to stick with the lie. The scene fell into a deadlock. G Bada tugged Du Xiaoman's sleeve, and to him went quiet. He sighed. Ruian really isn't dead. I'm Ruian's original boyfriend. Years ago we broke up over a misunderstanding, and out of spite she married you. This year I got divorced, and came to find Ruian with my child. Ruian knew she still loved me, so she wanted to fake death, and leave you. But who would have thought you'd actually go and cremate Ruian? But don't blame Ruian. She did this only because she didn't want to hurt you. She's a kind person. Now that Ruian is gone, We just hope you can accept this child and let him have the inheritance he deserves. I took a sip of water and mimicked Du Xiaoman's tone. Bullshit. Mom, I know you and Ruyan didn't get along. Her will didn't leave you a single cent. So you brought along this kid, from who knows where, to frame Ruyan and split her estate. Right. Du Xiaoman was nearly furious enough to die, but for the money she held it together. Bullshit. Ruyan and I got along just fine. This is Ruyan's child. I know it for certain. I pulled out Li Ruyan's will. Mom, why are you lying? If you and Ruyan were close, why doesn't this will even have your name on it? Why is the entire estate left to me? Du Xiaoman was speechless. Jibata was still hesitating. After all, he couldn't just say, Li Ruyan made the will out to me, only to make me carry the debt. I glanced at the boy behind Jibata and sneered inside. No wonder the 3-year good wife act suddenly stopped. Her first love and son had come back, but I wasn't sad at all. After all, I'd already died once. I said calmly, you say this child is Ruyan's. Then please show your evidence, like a legally recognized paternity test, or a birth certificate. Jibata and Du Xiaoman spoke as one. There's no paternity test, because the child was born at home, so there's no birth certificate either. But the child is Ruyan's. Officers, do you see now? They know my wife's already cremated, so they bring a kid to demand the inheritance. And Firmonger, saying he cremated my wife alive, but what they say contradicts itself at every turn. Du Xiaoman said anxiously, I can do a test with the child to prove I'm his grandmother. Wouldn't that prove he's Ruyan's child? The officer shook his head. That doesn't count. It only proves you and the child are related, but your relation to Li Ruyan can't be proven, and even if it could, it doesn't prove you and your husband. It only Ruyan as a child. I held back a laugh. The truth is, I insisted on cremating Ruyan, largely because I feared exactly this. Didn't expect I'd really called it. Duchanan and Jibata exchanged a glance. Jibata gritted his teeth. Whoever the child belongs to, Ruyan really isn't dead. He's the one who cremated her. He's a murderer. He can't inherit Ruyan's estate. Jibata wasn't wrong about that, but the catch is, you have to prove I'm the murderer first. I suddenly looked at Wang Menyun. Menyun, he tell them was Ruyan alive or dead? You're a doctor. You have a family too. Think carefully before you speak. You may not remember, but I do. Back at the ignition button, it was you and Mom who rushed up and pressed it. If Ruyan really was alive, then you and Mom were the murderers. I twisted their attempt to stop the button into deliberately pressing it before Du Xiaoman could spit out bullshit. Wang Menyun gritted her teeth. Sister Ruyan really is dead. I breathed a sigh of relief, but Jibata raised his phone. I knew you'd lie. So I brought evidence. Jibata played a video on his phone. In it, Jibata, Li Ruyan, Wang Menyun, and Du Xiaoman all four sat on a couch planning the fake death. Li Ruyan's voice came from the phone, as nauseating as last light. When the time comes, I'll get anaesthetized. You find a way to knock out my husband. Then tell him that I've already been cremated. Once it's done, I'll give you $1 million. But the recording wasn't complete. It didn't include the part about saddling me with the debt. Wang Menyun crouched down, with no idea how to defend herself. I didn't know. Jibata seemed relieved. I really wasn't lying to you. You really did kill Ruyan. So you should go to prison. And this estate should all belong to Auntie. I put on a frightened look and said nothing. After working up the emotion a bit, I looked utterly devastated, barely able to contain myself. Officers, I want to report a crime. These three faked my wife's death, without telling me. I was heartbroken to death at the time. I didn't even register that she'd die. They clearly knew I was going to donate my wife's organs, to cremate my wife, yet deliberately hid that she wasn't dead. They did it on purpose. They wanted me to cremate my wife, then show up to grab the assets. I knew my wife had passed, and cremated her by the normal process. Is that wrong too? Clearly it wasn't. The two didn't expect me to be so articulate. They thought I'd break down at the truth, and be led by the nose. But I'd already died once. I was no longer the naive, foolish me of last life. The moment I awoke, I had it all figured out, exactly how to walk every step ahead. My grief left my throat hoarse. Back then I should realize. Strange. You were there too. When you refused the donation, why didn't you tell me the truth? If it was just a divorce, how could I refuse? It was clearly you all who deliberately deceived Ruyan, who got Ruyan to believe your lies and choose to fake death, making me the sinner who sent his own wife to the cremation table. How cruel-hearted you are. That's because Ruyan said we had to make you believe it. So I could only stop you from donating organs, not dare tell you the truth. And on my way to the crematorium, you called me. That shows you knew I was going to cremate Ruyan. I was too sad to answer. So why didn't you text me? And when I got to the crematorium, Ruyan clearly hadn't been cremated yet. Why didn't you tell the truth then? Instead, in front of everyone, you deliberately pressed the ignition. Du Zoneman and 1 million were town-struck, but I knew the real reason. They were confident there was still time. If they could just lure me away for a bit, the plan would succeed. After all, fortune favors the bold. The whole mess ended with no conclusion. Each side insisted they were in the right. The police took us all to the station, held temporarily pending investigation, but after a few days, they found I really was a simple, naive husband with no idea about Liu Ruyan's affair. I never questioned her trips or outings, never checked her phone. They interviewed my neighbors, friends, coworkers, and reviewed home footage from before her death, confirming we were a loving, devoted couple who'd never even argue. And the police couldn't know I'd been reborn. Based on the evidence at hand, a husband like me couldn't possibly, out of nowhere, kill his own wife. Meanwhile, Du Xiaoman, Wan Menyun, and Jibata told stories full of holes. They had countless chances to tell me that Liu Ruyan wasn't dead, but waited until after I cremated her to say it, especially Wan Menyun and Du Xiaoman, who clearly saw Liu Ruyan go into the furnace, yet still wouldn't tell the truth and even pressed the button themselves, though they claimed it was accidental. Who would believe that? Not only that, the fake death scheme itself was already outrageous to begin with, so the investigation concluded I was just an innocent, pitiful man who'd lost his wife. The other three were detained on suspicion of murder. After being released on bail, Du Xiaoman and Jibata wouldn't accept it and kept sending people to corner me. First I went to building management, then the police, but they clung like a bad rash, impossible to shake. Finally, out of options, I used Liu Ruyan's estate to hire 100 bodyguards and ordered them, if anyone causes trouble, except for those two big shots, beat everyone else within an inch of their life. Worst case, I'd pay damages. After a few rounds of that, Du Xiaoman and Jibata stayed fine, but the people they egged on paid the price, single-handedly filling the hospital's monthly quota. In the end, no matter how the two egged people on, no one was willing to make trouble with them. The two raged helplessly and could only try to kill me with glares. I happily watched them flounder and enjoyed life right in front of them. Champagne and fine wine, sports cars and beautiful women. I made up for every regret of my last life, leaving Du Xiaoman and Jibata grinding their teeth. 3 months later, the case was decided. All three were found guilty of murder and sentenced to life in prison. When the police came with the verdict, behind a whole suicide rap performance, she climbed onto the balcony, threatening to jump, screaming that I murdered my own wife, that I was worse than a beast, and would go to hell when I died. She accused the police of ignoring the law. More and more people gathered below to watch. Du Xiaoman seemed to see hope, trying to stir the crowd to her side. She spoke with full emotion, tears and all, until an hour later, someone drawled, "Are you jumping or not?" Just a show. Wasting my time. Du Xiaoman jumped up in fury, but her foot slipped, and she plummeted straight down. With a thud, she was gone on the spot. Wang Menyun didn't fare well either. After it all blew up, her husband divorced her immediately, not only taking the children, but ordering them to cut all ties with her, never to call her mom again. Before the police came, Wang Menyun had begged me more than once, hoping that for old friendship's sake, I'd write her a letter of forgiveness. She said if only I'd forgive her, she'd do anything. She didn't want to end up with a ruined family. But last time, when my family was ruined, whoever pitied me, after all, you reap what you sow, so she'd have to bear it herself. The last time, she stripped herself bare before me. I sneered, and had my 100 bodyguards throw her out. Later I heard, Wan Menyun tried to take her own life several times in prison, but never succeeded. As for Jiba, it was even funnier. He actually played the family card with me, saying the child was innocent. That since I loved Li Ruyan so much, how could I let her flesh and blood lose both parents and become an orphan? And the boy was clever from a young age. He could help me run the company someday. As for himself, he said he wasn't greedy. As the child's biological father, I'd just give him a few million for retirement, and he promised never to appear before us again. So he smiled and told him, "I've already arranged the orphanage. The child won't suffer. As for you, Ruyan's too lonely down below. You'll have to keep her company. As G Buddha cursed in furious panic, I smiled and walked out of the station, cutting all ties with the past for good. After it was all over, I dismissed the 100 bodyguards with generous efforts. Among them was one female bodyguard who was not only diligent on the job, but whose personality suited me well. Beautiful, no question, and I saw loyalty in her too. So we sold my old place. And with the estate Liu Ruian left me, bought a bigger house in a better area, and moved in alone with that bodyguard. As for Liu Ruian's ashes, I kept them with me because I believe heaven sees. I want her to watch from above just how happy I am. Mr. Lin, what do we do next? Hot body. Sharp-eyed, the bodyguard was unexpectedly a little shy now, standing behind me, wringing her hands. A smile. Answer the nation's call. Of course. Aim for triplets in one go.
当然是响应国家号召，争取一胎三宝。